Hey everybody, welcome back! Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out of my wedding? My female 32 wedding is the Saturday after Thanksgiving in Chicago, as I am the oldest of 6 kids, and that was the best time that everyone could get here and be together. Fiance, 36, and I live in Chicago, and so do both sets of parents. We got engaged in April of this year, so this is a fast turnaround on a wedding. Fiance and I are paying for the wedding ourselves. First wedding, marriage for both of us. It took a lot of back and forth Un momento. It took a lot of back and forth with my siblings in order for us to get this date pinned down. Since my 5 siblings don't live in Chicago and 3 of them have kids. My sister, single mom of 1, 30 years old, we'll call her Susan, lives in Florida, and she was the holdout on if we could have this day. One of my brothers can't make it because he and his wife are expecting their 3rd boy any day now, due November 7th, but we'll be there virtually. Susan and I are close in age, and also the only 2 girls, so if she was able to make it, I wanted her to be a bridesmaid. This was a mistake. Oh no. So you kind of planned your wedding around her and made her a bridesmaid, and how did she repay you? As soon as I asked her, prior to securing our date, she took over my wedding. I would send her colors and ideas for a classy gold and wine-colored wedding with sunflowers and roses, to which she would comment how I was copying her because she had sunflowers at her June wedding 11 years ago. Coincidence? I think not. They divorced after 18 months, and 3 years after the divorce had their daughter, no longer together. Okay. My best friend Haley is my maid of honor, and my sister commented to me about her tattoos in the wedding photos and asked me if she would dye her hair a natural color for the wedding. Oh god, one of those, eh? Maid of honor Haley has dark blue highlights in her naturally jet black hair. You can't tell unless you're in the sun. My sister Susan has a huge tattoo across her chest down her breastbone. So really? I ignored these comments. Okay, so she had a tattoo and she was like being weird about your maid of honor having a tattoo. That's kind of weird. In July, I went dress shopping with my mom, maid of honor, and mother-in-law. Susan was on FaceTime with my mom. My mom and mother-in-law wanted to get matching dresses and color that I could choose. My maid of honor was also trying on dresses. I knew I wanted my bridal party to be a dress with lace long sleeves, with a higher neckline and open back. My sister lost it on the phone, saying how you could see some of my maid of honor's arm tattoos through the lace, but that her chest tattoo would be covered. Who cares? This is not some like commercial or like film job where you have to cover your tattoos and put cover up on them. It's a wedding. Who cares? My mom reminded her that it was my wedding and her comments were unnecessary. They're unnecessary even if it was her wedding. I did ask my maid of honor if she would be more likely to wear a dress again if it was burgundy red or hunter green. My sister had a fit that she didn't like either of those colors and would never wear this horrid dress again. Okay, don't then. This just goes back to like bringing problems to the bride that don't need to be brought. Both these colors are so wearable. Burgundy red is the color of the season. It's literally everywhere right now. It's a beautiful color and you will absolutely wear it again if you have taste. I said it. What? Wanna go? It's cool. No need for violence. When I tried on dresses, Susan only had negative things to say about each one. After a couple of dresses, I was defeated and near tears. My mom hung up with Susan and we finished our appointment. I did end up choosing a dress after Susan was off the phone, and we got mom's and bridesmaids' dresses. So not only is she making your wedding incredibly difficult and negative, but she's also just being downright mean. I don't care if this is your sister. I don't care if it's family. Like, you know, family members tend to think that they can say whatever they want to you. And like, oh, we're family, so I can say that. You can't say whatever you want, especially not during someone's wedding. Like, what? Susan had been complaining to our mom about how she hates the bridesmaid's dress and that I only chose it so she would drop out. You can hate a dress, but you don't have to drop out of the wedding. That's fully your choice. Like, I can understand if you're putting someone in a dress that makes them look terrible, like on purpose, but like, if you're just being difficult, you dropping out of the wedding because of a dress is just ridiculous. She dragged her feet for over 2 months, finally ordered mid-September to try on the dress at the shop near her, so we could order her size and have it in time for the November wedding. Mind you, I paid for all these dresses. Oh, brother. Okay, that's even worse. Why is she complaining about needing to wear it again if she's not even paying for it? Like, what? that. You paid for the dresses, shoes, and I will be paying for the hair and makeup the day of the wedding. Susan has been sending me ideas of things I should add to the wedding, even though I've already secured caterers, menu, put down deposits, etc. on everything. She keeps saying this would be better. I've learned that people like to insert themselves. The amount of people that like project what they want at their wedding or what they would want to wear at their wedding onto your wedding, it's actually insane to me. I've dealt with this like quite a bit. Like I know I've only been wedding planning for a little while, but like there's been a few issues of people being, yeah, I don't know, I wouldn't wear that. Okay, so don't then. Don't. No one's asking you to. And the funny thing is it is coming from like family members. I don't know about you guys, but when someone tells me that I can't do something or I shouldn't wear something, it just makes me want to wear it more, just to piss them off. And the irony is, the dress I picked, for example, looked absolutely incredible on me. Like, it looked incredible. And I'm not just saying that. There was something about it that just hugged my body in like the perfect way. And then when I showed this one particular family member, they were like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like if you wore something like this, it would be better. And I was like, I know that you think that you're trying to help, but if I'm telling you that I like something and you're trying to push me in a different direction because of something that you're projecting, it's not your wedding. I ignore her and enjoy the excitement of my upcoming wedding. Second week of October, Haley was diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer. Oh, that's so sad. I'm so sorry. She starts chemo treatment 2.5 weeks before my wedding. Haley did express that she doesn't want to go through losing her hair from chemo and that she would like me to shave her head. In this conversation, I did ask if she would want to do it before or after the wedding. I would ensure that she had a silk wrap for her head that would match her dress if she wanted to do it beforehand. I just want my best friend there beside me. I don't care how she looks, and that is exactly how you should feel. Haley started crying because it was her plan to drop out of the wedding because she didn't want to ruin my special day. I mean, she's not ruining it. Her sister is. My fiance's best man and best friend is fully ready to shave his head to match her if that's what she chooses to do. We wouldn't tell Haley and let it be a surprise for her. Oh my days. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is so amazing. You're such a good friend. Why is it always the really nice, thoughtful people that have people in their lives that just can't stand it? I'll tell you why. Bugs are attracted to lights. Haley mentioned she was happy that the dress has a higher neck as it will cover her chemo port. She says it's a dress she still feels beautiful in because it covers the proof of her IV lines and port. It makes me feel even more that this is the perfect bridesmaid's dress. However, Susan lost it when she heard. This is just cruel at this point. She told me how Haley should step down as to not ruin my wedding, that she is trying to steal my day and attention, and that if she's bald, it will ruin my pictures. I'm sorry, what if the cancer doesn't go away? You lose your maid of honor. Do you think you'll be worried about how she would look in pictures, or would you like to have memories of that day? This just proves that some people just really don't understand what weddings are about. Weddings are not about appearances and how you look. That shouldn't be the most important thing. The most important thing should be being surrounded with people that you love, your favorite people in the entire universe, getting to spend the happiest day of your life with them. And that's it. And also your partner. Susan also mentioned that since Haley will be in treatment, we won't be able to do a true bachelorette party because she can't drink. See, again, the values of what it truly means to get wet. See, the values are not matching here, you know? We weren't gonna do batch parties anyway, since my fiance and I are homebodies and hosting Thanksgiving at our new house 2 days before the actual wedding. Yeah, your sister's priorities are just so way out of whack. My fiance thinks Susan needs to be removed from the wedding. He went as far as to talk to my parents about it since they purchased her plane tickets and she'll be staying with them. My dad agrees with my fiance. My mom is leaving it up to me. I don't want to kick her out and have her make Thanksgiving and our wedding miserable. My parents are in a weird place because Susan has a daughter and it's not fair to the grandkid if Susan acts up and gets removed from things. I mean, yeah, that's true, but the grandkid won't remember. Beyonce's brother is the groomsman, and he said he's fine with stepping down if I choose to uninvite my sister. So I feel like I have everyone's support. Susan's daughter is also our flower girl. Am I the a-hole if I uninvite my sister and drop her from my wedding party? I think that she has done enough to make the days up to your wedding an absolute nightmare. Judging by how she's behaved, I would be afraid to have her There. She did it to herself at the end of the day, and unfortunately, bad behavior has consequences. If you just let her walk around and do whatever the hell she wants and say whatever the hell she wants without repercussions, she had literally no empathy for your best friend that has cancer. That's evil. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want any evil presences at my wedding. Presents, yes, but not evil presences. Would you be the a-hole? I mean, no, you wouldn't. Everything considered, I think it's justified. Oh God, we have an update. Oh, we have a couple of updates. We got a few updates. I know a lot of people mention sticking up for myself against my sister. Trust me, I do. There have been many times where my mom has called me to get my side after Susan has complained to her. Mom loves to say, "You are grown, I don't need to parent you anymore." Not my problem. I mean, it's not necessarily about being a parent. If a sibling is being really unreasonable and terrible to you, I think your parent's opinion would really matter in that context. My favorite lines to my sister have been, "That'll be great for your next wedding, but that's not my taste." Your next wedding? Then don't come to my wedding. Then deposits are already down, so your opinion doesn't matter. This is literally what I've been saying. Well, I've already paid for it, so. From the beginning, I put passwords with my vendors out of fear and retaliation. I do want to give some context to mine and Susan's family dynamic. I'm the oldest of 6, spanned over 16 years, traditional Italian Catholic. We were told that college houses and weddings need to be paid for by ourselves. We were taught from an early age that we needed to earn what we had. But we would always have a roof over our head and food in our stomach with mom and dad. And we would always be loved and we would always have each other. Susan and I were best friends growing up. Susan married ex-brother-in-law at 19. They were high school sweethearts. Ex-brother-in-law, then 21, and my long-term boyfriend, Duke, then 22, were best friends and joined the military together. My boyfriend was best man and I was a bridesmaid. One of 7, by the way, not maid of honor. Ex's brother-in-law's parents did help them pay for the wedding. They only had to pay for the wedding cake. My parents scraped together enough to pay for her dress, and I remember her, Susan, crying gratefully when my mom told her they were going to do that. The total cost for me to be her bridesmaid was about $1,000 between dress, shoes, accessories, makeup, hair, and nails. I didn't go to the bachelorette party because I had to work. But Susan was okay with that because most of us were in college or entering college, and only a couple girls could go anyway. After her wedding, she was still friends with all the women who were in her wedding because she was actually fairly relaxed as a bride. Surprising. Okay. Within the next year after her wedding, Duke proposed to me on my 22nd birthday. A month later, he was hit by a drunk driver and was in a coma for a couple of weeks before passing away. Oh my goodness. My brother-in-law was beside himself for losing his best friend and military brother. I was wrecked and broken, and my sister was also going through a miscarriage that only our mom knew about. She found out she was pregnant because she was miscarrying and Duke was in a coma at the time. Oh my goodness, you've had it really hard, my love. This is what led to their divorce and honestly turned my sister sour. I know a lot of the friends that were in her wedding tried helping, but she pushed them away. I also didn't want anyone close to me, but Haley, my best friend since high school, literally saved my life. She and I were roommates at the time, and this girl would literally drag me into the shower to bathe me. She would force me to eat. Ugh. She slept in the bed with me so I wasn't alone and held me when I had night terrors. She went and collected my schoolwork and notes from friends in class. She held me when I sobbed, yelled at God, and was the literal rock that held me to this earth when it felt like it was falling apart. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, yes, I understand you got divorced and that made you kind of a but like, it's very, very clear that this Haley girl is your chosen sister. If anybody talked about my chosen sister like that, I would have a very, very hard time wanting to be around them. She also covered the rent during that time since I couldn't human, much less work. I did pay her back. Haley encouraged Susan and I to go to therapy about 6 months before Susan's divorce. In therapy, Susan explained that Duke was also her friend, so it was her loss as well, plus she was losing a baby. She hated that brother-in-law, and I got more sympathy over Duke's death than she did over her miscarriage. More sympathy? Oh, that is weird. It's not a competition. If it was, you'd lose. She felt her pain was just as heavy, and both me and brother-in-law were not as accepting of her grief as our own. I mean, you were also trying to deal with a death yourself, so it's a little hard to be sympathetic. Judging by, like, was she sympathetic toward the fact that you lost your mans? While I did try to understand her viewpoint, I did tell her I needed more time to cope with my grief. The therapist was more of a mediator and even said we both needed to grieve and heal before expecting anything from one another, especially an apology, literally. You cannot expect someone to be there for you when they need to be there for themselves. Like, they also need someone too. Susan had the same issue with brother-in-law, and I know he blew up at her that he'd not only lost his best friend, but also his first child. Yeah, I'm sorry. If I had just lost a best friend and someone was rightfully upset about losing their child, but then said things like, what about me? What about you? We all need to be patient with people who are going through grief, okay? They're not gonna behave the way they normally behave. I focused on school, my career, and myself the rest of my 20s. I didn't date for fear of growing close to someone else I might lose. After Susan's divorce, I did apologize for my part in not being there as a sister when she miscarried, and she apologized for her part in not allowing me to properly grieve Duke. Over the years, Susan and I tried to bond and grow as sisters. I was the first person Susan told she was pregnant because she was scared. I helped her tell mom and dad. I was there when my niece was born and stayed a couple days to help until mom could come down. She's come out for my graduation and birthday parties, and I helped her move into her house. This is a sisterhood we're trying to build long distance. My fiance and I have been friends for years. Met in college, I was 27 working on my master's, and I would bring him around as a friend. Everyone in my family, Susan included, told me to try a relationship with him to get back into dating. My brothers knew that fiance had a thing for me, so they were more like wingmen. That was less than 2 years ago, and now we are here. Susan is currently in a relationship. They've been together for about a year. He does pharmaceutical sales or something, so he does well for himself. She lets everyone know that her boyfriend makes more than my fiance. There it is. Who is making about 10K less than her boyfriend, doesn't matter, working 30 hours as a physical therapist as he finished his doctorate. Hope that gives important context. She's been a horrible attention-hogging person her whole life. She's also a smart, beautiful woman, great career in veterinary medicine, owns her own 3-bedroom home in gated community, etc. You could very easily say she's more well off than I am based on outward appearances. This weekend was a busy one. I received multiple phone calls from my vendors, sharing fun stories about someone pretending to be me. First, it was the bridal dress shop. We have had the dresses for over 10 days already. My impersonator called to cancel my dress order. Impersonator. Let me guess. It was his dick. The bridal shop owner told me, I hope you don't mind, but I've been doing this long enough. I have fun with these kinds of people. She said she opened our account and saw that we had a note on our account for a passcode and that our order had been picked up. So she knew it wasn't me. Bridal shop asked her if she wanted to return the whole order or just the wedding dress. She said, the whole order. Then she said, okay, I completed that. You should see the receipt for cancellation in a moment and refund in the next few days. The impersonator loses it, saying, actually, I need to change that email address. Clearly, she didn't think that there would be a paper trail of what she had done. Such a rookie mistake. She told her she couldn't change the email address, but she could forward to the new address. Apparently, the impersonator hung up on her. Then she called me to send an alert. The bridal shop recommended that I share it with my other vendors to see if they did the same with them. Like I mentioned, we had a password with all our vendors, so I sent out a blanket email to everyone, letting them know that someone was trying to cancel our reservations, but we were still on for our wedding. The fact that you had to do this, now I'm paranoid. I feel like I need to do that. I talked with my brother, who just had a baby, to see how they were doing, if they received our baby gift, and ended up talking with his wife, we'll call her Mary, about Susan and the wedding drama. She told me Susan called and accused them of stealing her baby name. But they named him after both of their dads. Her dad has early onset dementia. Their new baby has Mary's dad's name to honor her dad and also because they share a birthday. So, your sister's just going around, well, you copied me. Are you 5 years old? You're a grown woman. Get it together. Mary tells me she wants my brother here for the wedding to show his support. I was touched that she was willing to allow him to travel when they have 3 little ones at home. But she also said, you deserve to have your brother there. You only get married once and this is my 3rd kid. Oh, my mom and dad will be here to help. That is so, it's just like, everybody is just so kind and accommodating except Susan. She isn't Susan funny. Fiance and I had a meeting with the caterer and hotel event coordinator to confirm where we were on numbers, especially with my brother now being able to make it. Well, you can swap one out for the other. It was really important to fiance and I that we have enough food for our reception dinner to feed the waitstaff, bartenders, and other vendors in attendance. We are doing 2 hours of small bites with a cash bar. Wow, that is so nice. Wow, you want to feed the waitstaff. Ooh, that's kind of nice. I kind of like that. Mostly because we were worried about guests getting too drunk. Cough, Susan cough. So wait, Susan's still invited at this point? A small part of me kind of wants to know the drama that would happen, but like also, I don't know. I feel like you should protect your peace, babes. Before the reception, dinner at 2 p.m., which will have an open bar. We chose this because it's an Italian wedding and will likely go for a while. The catering let me know they got a voicemail to cancel. She ignored it because we already scheduled a meeting. The person trying to change things didn't have the correct information to cancel anything, and the food, drink, alcohol vendors were technically under our contract with the hotel. So we would have to submit the cancellation with the event coordinator directly. So wait, she she is coming or isn't coming. She's doing all of this and she was invited or isn't invited anymore. If you haven't uninvited her at this point, I'm sorry, but she's literally out here trying to ruin your wedding, taking actual steps to ruin your wedding. I also got a call from my ex-brother-in-law. He wanted to know if I was actually getting married. He told me Susan has faked family events before in order to keep his daughter from him. Just never ends with this one, eh? I let him know, yes, I was actually getting married, and I was sorry for not keeping in contact post his divorce and after niece was born. We were in a very weird spot in our friendship through all these years. We ended up catching up for almost 3 hours. Invite him to the wedding instead. Ooh, invite him to the wedding and Susan. Oh, that would be fun. Or just don't invite Susan and invite him instead. That way, your niece can still come to the wedding. Before everyone asks, Susan is coming into town this Saturday. Her behavior leading up to the wedding will determine if she will be asked to not attend. I do have a backup bridesmaid. My parents are completely on board with what I choose to do. They think I'm giving a lot of grace. You are. Fiance and I are actually moving in the shadows. Oh my God. Okay, Fiance and my brothers are all in a group chat, so they are pretty much aware of the Susan drama and are ready to act and protect our special day. Chemo is whooping Haley's butt. She did try to step down, and I asked her what I could do to make it easier on her. If she needs a wheelchair, stool, whatever, I will make it happen. I told her I just want her beside me when I get married. I added the night before the wedding to her hotel reservation so she can sleep in as much as possible beforehand. We will do her makeup last, and the makeup artist is willing to do it at the church. Haley cried and told me she doesn't want my day to be less than perfect. But it will be less than perfect if you're not there, don't you get it? I reminded her that if she wasn't there, it wouldn't be perfect. See? And I just wanted her there as much as she could be, even if it was just the ceremony. We are going to make things tentative based on Haley feels the day of. My niece is in our wedding, which is why Susan hasn't been formally uninvited, and we do have plans as a family to ensure everything goes great. Next update, I will likely be married. I come with a steaming hot tea of what happened leading up to my wedding. Get your cups ready, I'll fill them up. I have plenty to go around. Also, I'm married, yay! Goody! I am ready to burn my tongue. 7 days before the wedding, Susan and niece land here in Chicago. I ask about ex-brother-in-law. She spent the 40-minute drive complaining about him in front of my niece. We get to our parents and niece takes off her coat to show she's wearing a I'm a big sister shirt. Oh. So, your sister is pregnant. Susan's pregnant. We are all shocked, but not surprised by Susan. Parents ask her how far along she is, and she says about 7 weeks. She did have a scan from earlier that week that she showed everyone. Mom mentioned not to say anything to the rest of the family, especially since it was so early in the pregnancy. Susan blew up at Mom for bringing up her past miscarriage and opening that wound. Fiance and I exchanged side-eye because we have petty plans and this works even more into them. Oh goody, oh goody goody. Wednesday, 3 days before the wedding, prepping food with Mom for Thanksgiving. I was at their house because we were doing a lot of baking. Susan is complaining we haven't had her try on her bridesmaid's dress yet. Mom assures her that we can do it Friday before the rehearsal, that we're focused on the holiday first. Susan decides that this is the perfect time to ask me about the cost of the wedding, reception, new house, honeymoon, and how we are affording it all with my money. Mom called Susan out and told her it was rude to ask, to which Susan turns on my mom and accuses her of being unfair because we were raised being told that our parents would likely not be able to help us with college or weddings. But didn't your parents help her with her wedding? Don't turn this around on me. Mom reminded her that they paid for her wedding dress. I remembered, which was $2,500, and also written them a check for $1,000. She also reminded her ex-brother-in-law's parents paid for the rest of the wedding. I was aware my parents helped, but didn't know dollar amounts. Oh, so weird. So she was like fishing to see if your parents helped you with the wedding? Susan asked Mom how much she'd paid toward my wedding. Spoiler, my parents had given us no money. Mom is a real estate agent and did find the house we bought. But we got it off market, so she didn't even get a commission. I told Susan that both Fiance and I had been working extra to pay for the wedding ourselves, and there had been a few items that my in-laws helped us with. Susan decides to ask where we will be honeymooning, and when we would be leaving. I explained that we decided to forego a honeymoon and put that money into our new house. Of course, Susan scoffs at this and says, "Oh right, don't need a honeymoon when you're already pregnant." Who are we talking about here? That was passive-aggressive. Did she just call you fat? Wait. I decided this was a good reason to go back home and help Fiance settle the guests arriving at our house. Dad drove me home since I had some to drink. I mean, you kind of need it at that point. I think he wanted a reason to get away from Susan. I started bawling in the car. Oh, no. I couldn't take Susan's abuse anymore, and I was afraid of being labeled a bridezilla skit at this point. I can see in the way that you're writing this and you're doing all these nice things for everybody and you're writing all of this stuff down. You're trying to convince yourself that you're not a bad person. You just don't want to be around bad people. Dad told me I could be as bitchy as I wanted towards Susan without being labeled a bridezilla because of how considerate I was of everyone else. Exactly. Dad was super supportive. He would have my back and even smooth things over if Mom got upset. He told me he would explain everything to our family while I cleaned up my face from crying. He also told me he doesn't think she's expecting. Susan just wanted to attempt to steal attention from me and from the wedding, which she promised wouldn't happen. On Thanksgiving, Susan and niece show up to my house with our parents. I asked her what she thought of the house. Susan mentions you can put lipstick on a pig. Wow, no, you're done. This is because OP kind of had a little spiel about how she had a house that was a fixer-upper and she did a lot of renovating. But I decided not to respond with a nasty comment back. I wanted to say the only pig was her. That would have been funny, I'm just saying. Perfectly timed, my niece excitedly screams and runs to her dad. Were those the shadows you moved in? Is her ex being there the shadow? My ex-brother-in-law shocking Susan because she didn't know he was in town, much less at my house. Ex-brother-in-law's parents are from here too, so they could stay with family nearby if they didn't want to stay with us. Fiance paid for their airfare and offered a hotel room for the night of the wedding and for the reception. Then ex-brother-in-law's wife comes around the corner. Oh, and he and his wife are expecting. She's 20 weeks along, so she was very much showing happy face. Oh goodness. Oh God. I love it. The look on Susan's face was priceless. Petty and karma stew. This was it. Chef's kiss. Ooh. I excitedly got to tell Susan I invited them to Thanksgiving and the wedding, so niece didn't miss out on being my flower girl, despite it being ex-brother-in-law's time. I thanked her for giving my brother-in-law my number so he could coordinate with me. She actually gave him my number to confirm my wedding so she could prove legally that she had a right to take niece out of the state. Go ahead, Susan. Announce your pregnancy at the wedding now. Oh goody. Oh yes. Oh. Susan angrily asked Mom if she knew about ex's brother-in-law, and Dad spoke up saying it's her house. She can invite whoever she wants. So Susan pouted and had to awkwardly sit through Thanksgiving as everyone caught up with her ex, and we enjoyed each other's company as a family. Oh my God. This is great. She also had to let her ex have my niece per the court order, meaning that Susan won't be in possession of niece for the wedding or reception. Now she wouldn't be able to hold her hostage when uninvited. I love it! Susan left early because she, quote, wasn't feeling well. So Dad dropped her off at their house, got niece a suitcase for brother-in-law, and returned to our evening. One day before the wedding, we did a light spa day, massages, cleansing, facials, mani-pedi, etc. Because Susan is pregnant, the spa wouldn't let her into the sauna, steam room, hot tub, etc. Oh no, it's so much more relaxing when she's there. Do I detect a note of sarcasm? At least that was the reason I gave when I uninvited her. She didn't argue about it. Mom told me Susan had gone out with her friends after being dropped off at their house the night before, and that she was so over her childish antics. After the spa, we all went back to my parents' house to hang out for a couple of hours and pick up Susan before the wedding rehearsal and dinner. At this point, Susan had been defeated at every turn. My sister-in-law and Susan are the same size and build, so we would have spare dresses on hand when I finally notified Susan of her demotion from the wedding. Mom thought that it would be best if I told her at the rehearsal because she was raised better than to start hell in the church sanctuary. Anyways, Susan bombarded us in the entryway of Mom's house demanding to try on her bridesmaid's dress for alterations because she couldn't find it. Mom told her if the dresses weren't there. Susan responded, well, they aren't at my house, so where are they? I did have a what the fruit moment realizing she had gone through my house. I told her, you're not welcome in my wedding anymore, so it doesn't matter. I actually said it a lot nicer than I intended. She got in my face and started yelling. She said she felt like I was purposely leaving her out of things, blamed it on her being pregnant. No, you're not. It's not about you being pregnant. It's because you're a bitten. And me being jealous. No, that's not it. She said I was selfish and purposefully designed my wedding based on what she wanted to get back at her because I never got to marry Duke. Wow, okay, so she threw that in your face. It's kind of interesting that she assumes that you're doing all this mean stuff when she's the one doing the mean stuff. People that are mean-spirited will automatically assume that of other people. I was blamed for ruining her first marriage with the grief over his death, that my fiance was marrying me out of pity because I made good money, and and that I was a toxic. No. Oh, you're done. I let out the breath I was holding and calmly asked, "Are you done?" I kid you not, our mother took 2 steps back and motioned for the other woman to do the same. We all know the mom arm safety car trick, and she did that. If I'm the a-hole, I own it. I backhanded her so hard across her face, the crack echoed through the house. There was dead silence and no one moved to help Susan, who stumbled backwards. Then I started screaming at her. My goodness. I told her that a heartless little sister won't ruin the best day of my life. I told her she was out of the wedding because of her condescending words and actions. I asked her if the pregnancy was even real or her boyfriend's, and when she looked at me shocked, I asked her why she was so quiet all of a sudden. I berated her for all of the hurtful things she said about Haley, about my wedding, and how self-centered she was. I told her I would maintain my relationship with my niece through my ex-brother-in-law because she, Susan, was no sister of mine and could rot in hell. What did I do to deserve that? Then I stormed out the front door, followed by Haley, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law. Haley drove me home. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law, upgraded to bridesmaid, followed us to my house and tended to my injury with ice. So you hurt yourself with that flap, I see. Mother-in-law insured fiance was made aware, told him he would see us at the rehearsal, and he invited us ladies to dinner and their bachelor bowling night. I wasn't sure if I needed the ER for my hand. So we declined bowling. I also slapped her with my right hand and am right-handed, so I wouldn't have been able to participate, but hey, I saved my wedding band hand. And that's on period. My mom texted me, "I'm proud of you." Shortly after I left, Mom had my back. Dad, who was with the guys, laughed, shrugged, and said, "About time someone knocked some sense into her." Spoiler, it didn't. Rehearsal was uneventful. Mom and Susan were absent. Fiance looked at my hand. Again, he's a physical therapist and advised that since there was no localized swelling or pain, I probably just heard it from the impact, but use my judgment if I want to go to the ER. My brother, Mary's husband, was willing to take me to the ER if I wanted to. I just wanted dinner and bed because I was emotionally exhausted. Haley didn't go to the rehearsal. She went to the hotel. She joined us for dinner at the hotel in her PJs, which I was also a little jelly about because she looked so cozy. We had decided I would stay in her hotel suite, which is also where we were having our makeup done the next morning. Dad decided to stay with the guys overnight because he didn't want to go back to his house and deal with Susan. Oh, right, because she's staying there. Ooh. We are guessing that Susan went snooping for the dresses at my house during Thanksgiving because she hadn't found them at our parents'. Because there was so much construction happening at my house, my sister-in-law held on to the dresses after picking them up and kept them at her house. I did go get my hand checked yesterday. I have a fracture in the bone of my middle finger. Oh, I'm so sorry. So you can't use that one, eh? Of the back of my right hand. Poetic? I think, yes. Hubby reminded me that where you've broken your bone, it heals and becomes stronger in that area. So I'm dedicating that middle finger to my sister. Period. Fracturing me and making me stronger. Ooh, I love that little analogy. That little metaphor. On the wedding day, makeup and hair started at 4 a.m., 9:30 a.m. wedding. Oh my goodness. And the cocktail hour started at noon. Dinner served at 2 p.m. until late because Italian wedding. My God, I cannot even imagine. That is so early. Wedding ceremony starts. Hubby cried as I walked down the aisle. Haley stood strong beside me. She would have the other bridesmaids fix things like my veil, dress, train, etc. when needed. She was adamant that she would make it through the day. After the ceremony, we did pictures with our families and bridal party. Niece wanted to get to the hotel pool before reception, so we ensured all photos with her were taken so she could go with ex-brother-in-law and have fun. The rest of the bridal party left for the cocktail hour ahead of myself and hubby so we could get our photos together. Everything was perfect. There was no drama. I married my soulmate. I, the bride, learned most of this later in the following days. Susan stalked and followed Mom to the hotel at 4:30 a.m. where we were getting hair and makeup ready. She was sent to the wrong room by front desk, which was a blessing. Susan was sent to the honeymoon suite that fiance and groomsmen had stayed in the night before at their bowling bachelor party. Fiance's brother answered the knock at the door at 4:30 a.m. He had looked through the peephole before opening because it was super early and started recording on his phone. When he opened the door, Susan was shocked. She clearly wasn't expecting a man to answer. She immediately accused the men of bringing women back to the room and causing enough noise to wake the best man and fiance. Brother-in-law told us none of the women were there. Susan asks where we were doing hair and makeup, which brother-in-law honestly didn't know. Soon she starts yelling and throwing a fit. Brother-in-law told her he was going to call dad to come get her. This enraged her even more and she screamed, "I'm not a child. You don't need to call my dad on me." No, we need to call the police on you is what we need. Other hotel patrons came out of their rooms to see what was happening. Brother-in-law pleaded for help and told them to call the desk for security. She left before being removed out of fear. Don't worry, Susan showed up at the church too. My brother saw her get out of the passenger side of an unknown vehicle in a white, sparkly, strapless, tight dress that showed off her chest tattoo and barely covered her bum, paired with a short veil clipped in her hair. Wow, you did that. You really did that, eh? She had a white fuzzy coat over her arm. It was 18 degrees Fahrenheit. She was promptly confronted by my brothers in the parking lot as Dad oversaw from the vestibule. They took her veil, saying I needed something borrowed. Not sure what they said to her, but they harassed her enough that she squirmed back into her car and left. Once removed from the church property, she decided to go to the hotel and bash me and the new hubby to the vendors and tell them the wedding was canceled because he and his groomsmen were caught at the honeymoon suite with some ladies that morning. Vendors continued as usual. You have no power here. Then Susan showed up to the cocktail hour. I do want to note that the church event was small, with maybe 50 people total, and the reception with friends and family was about 175. Susan loudly complained how tacky it was to have a cash bar at a wedding. She's newly pregnant, remember? Began to berate the staff over the bite-sized portions because she was hungry. You're not even invited, dude. You're not supposed to be there. She demanded to know what was taking us so long to get there. Many people took photos and videos of this behavior, and they said they did it because anyone who shows up in white is looking to cause an issue. This is where we could see her face clearly and the fact her makeup couldn't cover all her bruised face/eye. Susan then cries and complains to Mom in the bridal party about how she's been treated. Mom apparently challenges her and asks how maybe her actions deserve said treatment, and she wasn't doing herself any favors with a white napkin dress at her sister's wedding. Then Mom asked Dad to go get her a drink from the cash bar, so she takes this opportunity to run away. He didn't make it back with Mom's red wine before everything went down. Sister-in-law speaks up and tells Susan that she has extra dresses in the car and that I didn't uninvite her for my reception. Susan will have a seat at the table with my brothers so they could essentially babysit, but she needed to be dressed acceptable. This was something I discussed with sister-in-law the day before while icing my hand, but it was only if she had done nothing to foil my wedding. I guess Susan was chill for a little bit and stood with everyone quietly. Haley got to be the lucky person to let Susan off by simply letting her know that sister-in-law was in the bathroom with the new dresses. Sister-in-law made a comment about how fake Haley's wig looked. She hadn't shaved her head and her hair was in a beautiful loose braid. Haley told her to either change or leave, but she preferred if she left. Susan then pushed Haley, saying it was her fault I removed her from the wedding party. Haley was luckily pushed into a man who caught her before she fell to the ground. Absolutely not. Well, my dear, I know you have one more update to post, but that was a long one. I'm tired. So would you be the a-hole for uninviting your sister from your wedding? Absolutely not.